start your day. Wake up and start your day. Wake up and start your day with Jimmy Lakey. Unleashed, unfiltered, unashamed, unafraid. Oh yeah. Go tell all the neighbors. Crank up the speakers. There's infotainment and brilliance to get you on your way. From the House of Lakey Studios at the Lakey Entertainment Tower. God bless America. Coast to coast, the show starts now.
Well, here I am, my friends. Welcome to the program. The show does start right now, Tuesday, the 21st day of, I still got the date wrong on this thing. I changed it twice. Got it wrong both times. Tuesday, the 21st day of January, year of our Lord, 2026. Pleasure to have you. No, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, the 21st. See, I've done this wrong 3 times today. Okay, sorry. Delilah. These are the wrong ones. You grabbed the wrong ones. Those were yesterday's, okay? This is Delilah. Delilah, pay attention. This is the right one. We got it right. I got it right. Delilah just grabbed the wrong ones. Wednesday, January the 21st, year of our Lord 2026. Now, that's confusing. Let's just start the whole show over because that was a very confusing start to the show. And some of you are not sober from last night and you're confused on what day it is. It's Wednesday, hump day, halfway till Friday. It's the 21st day of January, year of our Lord 2026. What a hoot that was yesterday. But producer Chad, that was fun. We were out of the Casbar Cigar for the Lakey Roadshow event. Good group of folks there, mostly fellows. A couple of lady folk in the house as well. I think they might have been afraid of the skirt of the cigar smoke, but it was a very nice time, and we had a great time seeing Laura Carno. We haven't seen each other live and in person in a long time. About once a year, Laura and I get to see each other, and it's always a reunion to do so. So Carno was there. R.P. Newman. A lot of you liked R.P. Newman. Gunny Bob is what I call him. A lot of you like him, and that was a fun time as well. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll do some more of those throughout the course of the year. Good morning to everybody listening. This is Jimmy Lakey, unleashed from the confines of corporate radio. It's set free to do our own show in our own style, in our own way, and we're pleasured and pleased to have you here. President Trump is in Switzerland this morning. I woke up this morning, was getting ready, sipping some coffee, and flipped on the television, and said there he was speaking at what they called the World Economic Forum. They call it Davos, and he was at Davos having a little conversation, and he was telling the Europeans, he says, we've done so much for you. NATO, we've done so much for you, and more than anybody else, we've done so much for you. And all we're asking for one little thing, a little island with a bunch of ice on it. You could almost call it Iceland. It's called Greenland, though, but we'd like it, and we'd like to protect. We need it to defend you, and, we'd defend you, and we have to defend you because you can't defend yourself. But if you could just give us this one little thing, if you will, we'd appreciate it. If you're going to oppose this, so we'll remember it. So he's still making the play for Greenland. We can talk about that. By the way, when we get a Greenland discussion, there's a little bit of factoid that's out there. A lot of folks are not paying attention to, so we can talk that. He's also says... without his involvement, he says this Ukraine situation with Russia could have evolved into World War III. He did break a little bit of news speaking at Davos, and he said, I'm speaking with Zelensky, who may be in the audience here, and Putin today. He says, I think they both want to make a deal, and we're going to meet while we're here. So they're at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, and President Trump says he'll be meeting with Zelensky and Putin there, and he went through the atrocities of that war and said why it is that we have to solve this problem. We have to end this war. Too many people are dying. Too many souls are being lost, were the words he said. And so President Trump going to be meeting with Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky there at the World Economic Forum. So stand by and see if any breakthrough comes there. But he does continue to talk about he wants to end that war. All right. Oh, there's a scary situation yesterday. I'm not sure if you heard this. Thankfully, nothing was major. President Trump took off last evening from Edwards Air Force or Edwards Base, and the Air Force One had to turn around. They had a little electrical problem going on, and so shortly after takeoff, I'll read the story exactly like it's put out there for you. Turns away on the way to Davos, and here's what it says. Fox News reports Trump was en route to Davos to attend the World Economic Forum, and the crew experienced what they called a minor electrical issue after takeoff at 10:20 p.m., and they returned back to Joint Base Andrews. It's no longer called Edwards, I guess, Joint Base Andrews, out of an abundance of caution, according to the White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt. The lights in the press cabin briefly went out after the takeoff, according to the reporters on the board. Trump was en route to Davos to attend the World Economic Forum. The plane returned to Maryland about 45 minutes into a roughly 7.5-hour flight. Caroline Leavitt joked aboard the Air Force One that a Qatari jet sounded much better at the moment. After takeoff, the Air Force One crew identified a minor electrical issue. Out of an abundance of caution, Air Force One is returning to Joint Base Andrews. The president and his team will board a different aircraft, and they will continue on to Switzerland. So glad that all worked out. Probably a scary moment if you're back in that press cargo area or the press seating area, cargo, wherever they put the press, and the lights go out. You're sitting in the dark going, this is probably not good for the next 7.5 hours. So anyway, they made it back safely. They changed to a different aircraft. They had the backup of the aircraft that President Trump flies in, and they got on a different one, and boom, off they go. He's traveling with the White House staff, cabinet members. Marco Rubio's there. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles is there, and they all got on a different plane, and that plane then became known as Air Force One. Remember, the plane itself is not known as Air Force One. It's only when the president is on it does it become an Air Force One. I've got a question for you, kind of a fun question of the day. Well, we'll keep an eye. President Trump is actually speaking at the World Economic Forum right now. I've got it over the screen here, and he's speaking. He's doing a Q&A in a hosted session, answering questions. What's funny is I'm watching it on a business channel. I'm watching the stock market go up, go up, go up, go up while he speaks. And he says the stock market's about to become unbelievable. So the investment group is loving what Trump is saying. Across the bottom of the screen, he just scrolled and said the stock market climbs quickly while President Trump is speaking in Davos. He just evidently said Iran was the bully of the Middle East, but they're not going to be the bully much longer. So there'll be some breaking news coming out through this. I'm sure people will parse his words, read the transcripts. He did a lot of ad-libbing in his speech. Matter of fact, so much ad-libbing that I could tell it was ad-libbing because he kept referring, after he called Greenland a big block of ice, he then started referring it as just Iceland, because it should be named Iceland. So I think there was a lot of, okay, he's walking off the stage now, and he's done with his Q&A session, and the Dow is at 48,823.85. So it's going up as we speak. It's up 335 points as of this morning, and so it's so far the economy, at least the Dow Jones average, the Dow is liking what he said, up 0.68%. All right, I got a question of the day for you. Anybody ever watch Senator John Kennedy? And he always has these kind of quips, you know, you're the reason a shampoo bottle has instructions on it. You rinse and repeat. You're the one, that person may not be the dumbest person in the world, but you better hope the dumbest person doesn't die. All of these kind of fun sayings, colloquialisms, I think we call them, that Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana is very good at. Well, there's kind of an online trend that in the world of that we live in, how do you insult someone and you don't curse, you know, rather than just curse them out? Are there some more, maybe you call it passive aggressive, maybe you just call it fun, but some different ways that you can insult people in a PG way? People are sharing their PG rated insults online. Some of them sound like some things that could have come from the mind of Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. But if someone is, it's easy to tell somebody off with a string of profanities. You curse them out, right? Anybody can do that. Doesn't take any brains or wit. You just curse them out. You're just yelling, scream, and you get angry, and you might feel better. You might ruin a relationship or a friendship, but you know, all they hear is curse, curse, curse. It's like the teacher on Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. So someone is asking people, and it became a trend, to name your favorite insult that doesn't require any swear words. Now, these were not John Kennedy's. I just thought of John Kennedy when I read these. There's an Oscar Wilde quote that says, some people bring joy wherever they go. And other people bring joy whenever they go. And so, you know, so joy, they bring it whenever and wherever. So everyone's happy when you leave, basically. So those are a very kind insult. If you quoted Oscar Wilde and said, you know, some people bring joy wherever they go. You bring joy whenever you go. So that's a nice way to insult. People have to think about it. And did he just insult me? Yes, we just did. So I want you to, as a question of the day, I want you to share your favorite PG rated insult. Now they could be Southern colloquialisms like John Kennedy has. Maybe they're just more sharp. For instance, if somebody calls you snake mittens, like a snake sliver on the ground, hey, snake mittens, that means you're as useless as mittens for a snake. You're just useless. You're a useless person. You call them snake mittens. Hey, snake mittens, how are you? That's just a way to call them insult. That's insult as worthless. Here's one that's also that came up on the list. If you were any simpler, you would need to be watered twice a week. You know, if you say it, it's all in the tonality. If you get the tonality, man, if you were any simpler, you'd have to be watered twice a week. And that's what it kind of sounds Southern. Somebody could say, thanks for helping. It was like doing it by myself, but harder. That sounds that sounds like. Remember I talked about the other day. Did you ever have to hold the flashlight for your dad? That's probably what my dad. Hey, thanks for helping. It was like doing it just by myself, but a little harder. Jimmy, may your days be as pleasant as you are. I like this one. I think this is a fantastic one because then it's not a curse on you. It's just hey, may your day be as pleasant as you are. So there is your question of the day. What is your favorite PG rated insult? Do you have kind of a go-to line or three that you like to go to? So one may be, I envy the people who never met you. That's a fun one. I like that one, Delilah, because it's true. I envy the people that never met you. Don't throw anything. We've talked about that in HR. Well, you did your best, and that's why it's so sad. There's some great ones out there. I envy the simplicity of your perspective. So there's a whole list of them. If you'd like to sound off and tell us what it is that are the insults that are PG rated, I only want PG rated stuff. Please let us know. Let us have that PG rated stuff. We would, bless your heart is a famous one. If you go, bless your little heart, that's, yeah, that in the South sometimes they say, bless your little pea picking heart. They do that. Oh, yes, Kevin Johnson, stupid party of one, your table is ready. That works. There's no curse word in there, although if you call them stupid, they may know it's an insult. So that's the beauty of it. The subtleness of some of these is just fantastic. The subtleness of some of these is may your day be as pleasant as you are. I neither have the time nor the crayons to explain this to you. That's a fun one. I don't have the time or the crayons to explain this to you. Here's one that maybe if you have kids, you might relate to it or you're younger. Here's why the Power Rangers had to yell out their colors. Your brain has, and this is not an insult. This is me. Producer Chad and I say this about me all the time. Your brain has too many open tabs. And my brain does. That's not necessarily an insult. That's a factual observation about my head and the things that go up on this thing. Someone says, I was put in Facebook jail years ago for calling somebody an ignorant potato. And now it's my favorite insult, the ignorant potato. I saw someone else, and I called him an unfrosted mini wheat. And that's you're an unfrosted mini wheat. See, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. That's a good one. That sounds like something my parents would have said, or my father would have said. I can explain this to you, but I can't understand it for you. And I also had a math teacher because math and I did not get along that well. And I think she said, I can explain this to you, but I can't understand it for you. And that could be an insult. It could just be a factual observation that you're going to have to put your part in here. All right, give me your favorite non-cursing PG rated insult that you've gone to market with. And I would love to hear what they are. I'd love to hear I'd love to hear what your favorite non-cursing PG rated is insult is. Somebody said it's tough to have a battle of the wits with an unarmed person. That's a good one. That's one that I do recall. That is a way to insult someone but not curse them out. Again, you get the idea. Let us know. Jim says, ain't you blesses with brilliance. Bless your heart. Jim may have a typo in there. You get the idea. Let us know what your favorite PG rated insult is. All right. That will be our question of the day. I have a question of the day. Another one. Do you think Don Lemon is going to go to the pokey? Is he going to go to jail? I was listening to some analysis about who he's claiming it was freedom of press and he was just a reporter. But since the church is private property, there are literally, we've talked about this before, there are two there are two um, sections of the law in which you're looking to investigate and or charge Don Lemon. One is called the FACE Act. We'll get to that, and that prohibits you from blocking someone from doing something that would be considered a First Amendment expression. So if it was designed for by Democrats, if you want to walk into an abortion clinic, that is your First Amendment expression, and in your First Amendment expression, nobody can block your access. That's what the Democrats charged, and the Department of Justice charged these ladies that were singing about in front of abortion clinics or praying that if they were, quote, obstructing the entrance, they were charged with the FACE Act. There's also the Ku Klux Klan Act, and it was the Law Enforcement Act of 1871. It empowers the federal government against conspiracies depriving citizens of constitutional rights. It was passed during Reconstruction. The act countered Klan terrorism against African Americans, unionists, and officials, building on the 14th Amendment. It prohibits the overthrow of government, obstruction of justice, or deny equal protection with Section 1985, targeting group plots. Grant used it to dismantle the first Klan era by 1970. Protesters disrupting in St. Paul, Minnesota church in January of this year, just a couple of days ago, chanting ICE over justice for Renee Good. They're looking at it, probing the FACE Act, which blocks access, and also conspiring with others to terrorize others and deprive them of their freedom of speech. Charges against Don Lemon for his on-site reporting role. Now, it was funny to hear Keith Ellison, the idiotic attorney general of Minnesota, saying this is a First Amendment issue. And I think this is important that we all maybe need a reminder and lesson, because sometimes you want to express yourself. Well, I have my First Amendment rights. Well, that doesn't mean you have your First Amendment rights anywhere. That means if you're at your job, yes, you can go in the private sector and have your First Amendment rights. But if it affects your job, or if you want to wear a shirt that says F Joe Biden or F Donald Trump at your job, well, I have a First Amendment right to wear that. No, you're working in the private sector and there's a code of conduct. You have your First Amendment expression in the newspaper and write editorials, write commentaries, hold up a sign, but once you get in the public square, you have First Amendment rights. But in the private square, you don't have those First Amendment rights, or there are some boundaries to it, and the private square is part of that, the private property. And so Don Lemon says, I was just doing journalism. Well, listen, if all those protesters wanted to stand on the sidewalk outside of the church in Minnesota, then they could have protested, they could have chanted, they could have approached people on the public sidewalk and said, would you like to give us a conversation about, they don't like that one of their elders of that Southern Baptist church actually happens to be an ICE agent. That's why they were protesting. And Don Lemon has been put on justice, and he's an ignorant man, claiming that he has First Amendment rights in speech. But you do, Don. Freedom of press, you do. But that doesn't mean you can walk into any private world and just interrupt it and prohibit people from their freedom of expression. You just can't do that. So Don Lemon has some real problems there, and it's going to be interesting to see. And again, these were all bills passed. The FACE Act was passed by Democrats to try to get protesters out of abortion clinics. And you know what's good for the goose, good for the gander. It looks like the chicken's going to come home to roost for people like Don Lemon and a lot of those protesters. All right, Iran is a big topic. Obviously, they've been a big topic. Israel is a big topic as well. The Middle East is a big topic. Great confirmation last night. I just see what happened. It was Kenneth Abramowitz from SaveTheWest.com. He jumps into the studio here as well. Mr. Abramowitz, welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Great to be with you, as always.
Great to be with you. I want to talk about, we've watched a lot. It's so many news cycles have moved on now, but we were watching quite an uprising and a rebellion in Iran. We know that there's still a sharp eye there. We know that tens of thousands of people have been killed by the tyrannical regime there in Iran. What are you seeing is happening here? President Trump said help is on the way. He also tweeted and told people to go to the streets and stand up against the government, implying that help is on the way. Is help on the way for the people of Iran, or have they just been throwing protest and once again, like we did in, let's say, 2009, going to abandon them like we did in the Green Revolution? Give me your thoughts.
Well, I think help is on the way. I think President Trump realized he didn't have all the military assets that he needed to do the job that he would want to do. Remember, President Trump always says, "I want to win, win, win," and you don't want to engage in a military affair and not win. So they've called an aircraft carrier, USS Abraham Lincoln, to come from the South China Sea to the Middle East. It should be there like any day now. But by the way, it should have been there. So I think there's something wrong in the Department of War. We've been in a state of war with Iran since 1979. There should be an aircraft carrier all the time near Iran. So I think that was a mistake. But anyways, they're correcting the mistake. They're moving planes into the area. And so my guess is he'll do something in 2 weeks. But there's plenty of things he can do right now. He can blockade their oil. Basically, we have to bankrupt the country. That's another alternative to blowing up the bad guys, is to bankrupt the bad guys. So there's other things President can do right now.
I had R.P. Newman is on the program yesterday. He's been on Fox and Newsmax, and he's an intelligence and terrorism expert. And he says that on the ground right now, Israel has fantastic intelligence in Iran. They're really smart, and they really got this place covered. And one of the things you're looking for now is to find out what kind of chemicals were used against the protesters. And the Mossad agents or people on the ground have actually been trying to locate the people that got hit by this yellow gas, and he talked about adamite and what it was, and trying to get samples of the clothing that they were wearing to ship out of the country to send to a laboratory. What do you think we're dealing with? We're dealing with a group of people that it seems like willing to gas their own people in broad daylight. And Israel's trying to get to the bottom of it and find out exactly what they were spraying. Give me your thoughts. Is this something we're not surprised at about the Iranian regime and the Ayatollahs, or is this something that should cause us caution about anything we do with Iran?
Well, I call the government an Islamo-Nazi death cult. There's roughly 90 million people in Iran. Approximately 10 million are involved in the government or military, and 80 million people hate the rulers. They'll kill all 80 million. There'll be, so far, the genocide, I hear up to 30,000. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 50,000. It can end up being, not end up, it can go to 100,000, 200,000, a million. As I said, 80 million. They couldn't care less about the people of Iran. Their goal is to take over the world and kill everybody. So the killing 80 million Iranians would be just appetizers for this death cult. And so someone has to stop them. We're in World War III. It's a repeat of World War II. Someone had to stop Hitler. Someone had to stop the Japanese Imperial Army. They were death cults. And finally, America did it, but only after Pearl Harbor. So we have to pretend there's a Pearl Harbor, and we have to go after this Islamo-Nazi death cult. They'll kill everybody. And they're not going to stop with Iranians. And they want to kill all Christians, all Jews, and all Hindus. So someone's got to stop them, and now's the time to do it.
I was reading that if you read some of the signs that protesters or some of the writings of the protesters were holding up in Iran, it wasn't death to the Ayatollahs. It wasn't anything. It was basically in Farsi translated back to stop sending our money to Hezbollah and Hamas. We're starving here. Why are we stop using these puppet groups to go out? We need help right here. And that's something that, you hear the financial woes of Iran. They're spending bazillions of dollars going out to these front groups and waging war outside the borders of Iran. And the people are just saying, listen, stop doing that. Let us have some of this money.
Well, this is a good example of how anti-Semitism destroys countries. So the Iran death cult was so consumed with destroying Israel, they set up a terror network of 600,000 worldwide terrorists to surround Israel, and 300,000 physical terrorists, 100,000 narco terrorists to kill Americans, by the way, and then 200,000 cultural terrorists to spread their false narrative. So they don't have water in the country. How can you have a country that has enough money to support 600,000 worldwide terrorists, but doesn't have enough money to provide water for the population? So this is a scandal of epic proportions, and the government has to go. And the sooner the sooner the better. I mean, they're just killing thousands of people every day. Someone's got to stop this. And I think President Trump or Israel will stop them within 30 days. But I would say sooner the better.
When you say stop them, do you see that, just kind of prognosticating, do you think that the Ayatollahs will flee? Are they going to leave the country, leaving the country in a power vacuum? Do you think that the son of the former Shah is going to return? I know he's doing a lot of television. I even heard intelligence, we were told this yesterday, intelligence there, that last week in the middle of primetime television there, everybody had television or electricity, the Shah's son appeared for 15, 20 minutes through a cyber attack, and he addressed the nation, and the regime couldn't do anything about it. What do you see that transition looking like when you say we will stop them? Are the Ayatollahs going to head off to Moscow? Or are they going to be brought to justice here like Maduro was? What say you?
Well, all of the above. You never know when you're dealing with regime change how it's going to work. But we have to put more pressure. So we should have more cyber attacks against them. We should have economic attacks. We should blockade their oil. How come they're selling 2 million barrels a day? Let's stop that. We should start Nuremberg-like trials in Washington, like tomorrow, and identify the top 20 criminals running the country and the military and put them on trial in absentia. That's legal warfare. And we should half the country is Persian, half of the country isn't Persian. We should encourage those other parts of the country to revolt. So there's a lot of things we can do before we blow things up. So I think we should immediately do everything possible without kinetic war, and then in 2 weeks, if the leaders don't leave of their own, like Maduro could have left, if they don't leave, then we have to send in the planes and find all the bad guys with tanks, machine guns, everyone who's the gas, everyone who's doing the killing has to be either killed or put on trial, or I suppose we can allow them to leave. But usually history of death counts as they go down with the death. In other words, Hitler didn't leave. And usually, as I said, bad guys go down with the ship.
For anybody out there that says, this is not our business, Lakey, Kenneth Abramowitz, we need to not pay attention. They're on their own. They're isolationists. You've written an entire book called The Multi-Front War and why we have to pay attention to this. I think this is a good segue to tell people that might be pretending that this is something irrelevant to us here in the United States or in the West, and maybe we shouldn't get so actively involved here. You've written an entire book explaining why we probably should be involved, called The Multi-Front War, as I see it there over your shoulder. Give us a plug for the book, sir.
Yes. Well, around on 9/11, actually, I said to myself, I'm a business analyst in the health field, but I have to do something about national security. So I embarked on a 25-year second career. And then about 10 years ago, I realized that America's at mortal danger from our enemies. And then 5 years ago, I wrote the book, The Multi-Front War, and then I updated it 4 times, most recently about 8 months ago. And it's very current. People should buy it. Go right to the last chapter, which is the updated portion. And I also set up a website, savethewest.com. I write an article every 2 weeks. It's complimentary. Everyone should sign up. So I'm on a personal campaign to save Western civilization because I realized the existential risk that we face, and our government didn't recognize the existential risk. Finally, now the government is beginning to understand the existential risk that we're in and is doing what should be done.
The website, savethewest.com, savethewest.com, savethewest.com. Kenneth Abramowitz, I appreciate it. People get a copy of the book as well. Thanks for hopping on here today. Kenneth Abramowitz, savethewest.com. Hey, before we go to my next guest, prepare your hearts, my friends. We're going to talk a couple of conspiracy theories with Bruce Torres. We had him on last week, and I told him we'd get him back on and talk more about his book. He's also with a great organization. We'll talk about that as well. But everybody stand by. We're going to what's your favorite grassy knoll thought? Is it JFK? Is it 9/11? What are your thoughts that people think you're crazy? And yet usually as time goes on, you think you're crazy, but you're not. You turned out to be right. We'll talk some of that with Bruce Torres coming up in just a moment. Yesterday, if you were out at the Casbar Cigar for the Lakey Roadshow first event in 2026 in Lafayette, Colorado, as producer Chad and I took the show on the road. and good crowd, good fun, and some great food and donuts. It was a good morning, and did a little longer show. If you missed it, go back and watch the show. You get back extra 30 minutes of bonus because we're out doing it live, and some great guests in person, and we connected. Some of you had the chance to meet Sherry Cree. Sherry is a fantastic realtor that I highly recommend if you want to make some money in real estate. Listen, she believes that those transactions you do, buying, whether you're the buyer or the seller, if you play it right, you can create generational wealth. You need to know when to buy. You need to, the timing. They can fluctuate prices as a seller. You could list 30 days earlier, 30 days later, and you may get 10, 20, 30 extra $1,000. And that happens. And right now is actually a pretty good seller's market. And you say, well, I was going to wait till April when it gets warmer. You've missed the first selling market. So listen, there's some strategy involved depending on what you want to accomplish. But it's not just about call somebody, stick a sign in your yard. Sherry's going to sit down. There'll be a strategy session with you. What are you trying to accomplish? How do you want to do this? And by the way, if you're out there in Colorado and you say, I can't buy a home in Colorado, it's too dang expensive. It's almost like California anymore. There are some programs and ways that she can help you achieve that dream of home ownership when you thought it was impossible. Just make a call. Again, whether you're the buyer or the seller, Sherry wants to help you. And she has so many repeat customers. Call her back 10 years later. Hey, Sherry, it's me again. Let's do it again, because she's got children that call and say, you help my parents, I want you to help me now. Listen, she also takes a portion of all of her commission proceeds on a transaction with you, and she'll donate a portion of her out of her pocket to the charity of your choice. She also takes a discount on her commissions if you're a veteran in the military. You just go to the website. You owe it to yourself. A lot of you got to meet her yesterday. She was hanging out at the old roadshow event with us yesterday. homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. Be sure to tell her that you heard about her from me, Jimmy. homeswithsherry.com. Yeah, make some money. She can help you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, glad to have you here. Somebody asked, where's the next roadshow event? And we're thinking Texas is going to be it. We don't have all the details put together. We do have a firm invite for a location that has approved us to do the roadshow, and we just have to work out logistics on it and sponsorship and all that fun stuff. So everybody stand by. We're planning to do some more roadshow events this year. And if you're a business owner out there, maybe you want to sponsor the roadshow, get some national public publicity off of it, let us know. We'd love to have your help, but we're trying to take this thing on the road, and we have not worked out logistics on roadshow number 2, and we think it's coming soon though, and we are narrowing it down in our selection process. All right, Hump Day, halfway till Friday, the 21st day of January. Bruce DeTorres joins us into the studio. He is with the American Small Business League. You can see the website, and also Don't Cheat Women up there over his corner. And he's always great to talk to him about the small businesses of America. Bruce DeTorres, welcome in, sir.
Thank you, Jimmy. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. Obviously, we want to come back and plug the American Small Business League and talk about Don't Cheat Women initiative. But you wrote a book, and we kind of touched on it on the last time you were here. And I said, we got to have you back on. We're going to talk about the book. It's called God School 9/11 and JFK, The Lies That Are Killing Us and the Truth That Sets Us Free. Some people say that those lies, if you say you believe some of these things are lies that we've been told, they say you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, call me what you want, but there's some things that we have been told lies about, and you may call me a conspiracy theorist today, but tomorrow or next year, I'll be the truth teller, and I'll be the guy that was on the forefront of the information. Talk about your interest in this. What piqued Bruce DeTorres' interest in writing a book called God School 9/11 JFK, The Lies That Are Killing Us and the Truth That Sets Us Free?
My pleasure. In 2004, I was encouraged to study 9/11, that the official story was nonsense. I found that to be true, and I got fascinated and went through door after door about how is this so, and it led to book after book. And then in 2013, I was reading about JFK because I was talking at an open mic every Wednesday night in Atlanta in a little dive bar about 9/11, about the Federal Reserve. Jimmy, about everything that I could find, the official stories being lies aided and abetted by our government, by the major media. And my mind was just blown, and I was obsessed by it because I was outraged. I was outraged There's so much harm. There's so many wars. There's so many deaths. There's so much money stolen and exploited from we the people that then I decided to put it all into a book, and I organized it, and I approached a publisher in 2020. He said, I can publish it. It'll come out next year, 2020. So I studied COVID-19, and I wrote a brand new chapter on COVID-19, and my book came out in 2021. People can read all about it at brucedetoris.com. And my book is an invitation to look at these things for yourself. And it's the challenge to become an adult, to tell ourselves we can handle the truth, because it's enormous.
I want to talk about that thing of, are some of these lies that we've been told, the narrative by the government and the media doesn't ever investigate, or they turn a blind eye? Is it because the government doesn't think we can handle the truth and it may cause unrest in the country? Or is it more of a CYA cover up that we're running you like puppets here and we don't want you to know? Are they being protectionary over us, or are they just out dirty rats?
Dirty rats. There are lots of good people who work for all the different agencies and who work in Congress who don't know the truth, meaning they believe the official story of things. They are patriots. They love America. They love our ideals. They don't know the truth. And I encourage folks to go read about my book and see for yourself, see the evidence for yourself that Lee Harvey Oswald did not kill John F. Kennedy, that Muslims did not fly planes into the towers in the Pentagon, that the wars those wars related to that were unnecessary, that the COVID-19 project was to strip our freedom, scare us into lives of isolation, and inject us with poison.
Yeah. Let me ask you, some people say, okay, some of this, I get the JFK thing, the grassy knoll, not a single shooter, all that stuff. But the 9/11 thing, come on, Bruce, that's one we've been told the whole time. And it would take too many people to keep that covered up. There'd have to be too many involved to put this thing together. That's a grand conspiracy. I can't buy it. How many people are at the top of this? How many people does it take to put together a conspiracy that leads a country into war for 20 years? How many people are in the know?
Well, enough to lace those buildings with explosives, enough to stand down much of our normal defenses on the East Coast. Much of our fighter squadrons were over Alaska, enough to run at least 40 something military drills on the morning of 9/11 that confused and muddled up the normal responses, enough to let 4 planes go AWOL when normally within 20 minutes they've got fighter jet escorts, okay? Enough to have FEMA in position on Long Island for a cleanup the night before, enough to have military ready to go into Afghanistan before 9/11. It goes on and on, Jimmy. That's how many it took, at least that many.
If you're listening to the audio portion of the podcast version, it's Bruce Detoris' book. We're talking about God School, 9/11, the JFK, the lies that are killing us, and the truth that sets us free. Bruce, as you were researching and realizing maybe more and more, peeling layers of the onion back, going, okay, we've been lied to about a lot more than maybe than you thought. Is there one or two lies that are probably the most egregious? Maybe it's the COVID because it was most recent. I don't know, but what's the lie that if you could say we got to pay attention to this one? This is it. This is it. It's killing us, and we got to get set free here. Which one would that be?
The COVID vaccines. And I would steer people to my book, that chapter, the resources in it, and also the work of Dr. Naomi Wolf. Find her on Substack and see what she has published and brought forth, working with a team of researchers, scrutinizing the Pfizer documents that were forced from Pfizer, and to see the trail of destruction, harms, injuries, disabilities, and deaths, and particularly the destruction of women's reproductive systems to understand, wrap your mind around this holocaust of an assault on humanity and our ability to reproduce and have a healthy future. It really dwarfs anything else I've ever seen in human history.
In your estimation, again, the voice of Bruce DeTorres, he's written a book called God School, 9/11 and JFK, The Lies That Are Killing Us and the Truth That Sets Us Free. I could look at the whole pharmaceutical empire and realize that they made a heck of a lot of money off that vaccine that was rushed out to the market at Operation Warp Speed. I could also look at, thoughts that people like Bill Gates wanted to see population control and depopulation. What was the driving force, or was it just the government wanting to see how far they could push us as kind of a social experiment, and how much will they allow us to tamp them under our feet, if you will? Was it the pharma? Was it the depopulation movement? Was it was it the government just kind of testing its bounds of power? What would you say was the motivator behind the entire thing?
It's twofold. It's to increase control of humanity. It's to lock us down. It's to surveil us, and it's to exploit us. It's to sicken us. It's to make money. And it's part of that emanates, the heart and soul of it is the desire of the oldest and richest families on earth implementing the desire to enslave the world, to recreate planet-wide the master-slave relationship, the aristocracy and the peons who are exploitable, the rich versus the poor, and they operate from the modality of might makes right. And the hope is in discovering, because it's much of America's ideals are unknown, discovering America's ideals and having the courage to talk about these things so that more people, Jimmy, simply question authority. And you have to know who's trying to hurt you in order to be able to defend yourself from them.
I kind of go back to the COVID 2020 year, and my perception is that Trump was taking advice from people like Fauci and Dr. Birx, and he was kind of getting it, and occasionally he'd push back and bring somebody else in. It doesn't seem like he was in on the ruse here. I think he was kind of played and lied to by some advisors, and I don't know if that's your perception. I kind of think 9/11, I'd like to think that G.W. Bush was just, he had the intelligence community giving him information, and he's making a decision what he thinks is based on the best for the country, based on his advisors. Is it that question sets us up? We hear about a deep state, and you think the president's the most powerful. A lot of the stuff is emanating kind of from the bottom of the swamp, is it not? Is there some kind of a cabal, the deep state, the swamp monsters that have enough power, influence, and deception that they can, like a joystick, drive the president of the United States to make decisions that fall right into the game they're playing?
Well, yes, but Trump and W regarding COVID and 9/11, they're complicit or they're ignorant. And that's horrifying. And recently I've thought of the deep state, it's just the state. And the public relations of each of the agencies and about our foreign policy, blah, 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 they justify the horrible things that are inflicted on us and others around the world. And the vast majority of the employees of the CIA or the Defense Department, the War Department, the FBI, are more than likely just dupes who think that who think they have to do and implement the horrible things. They believe the cover story that justifies the horrible crimes against humanity, the horrible thefts, the horrible medicinal injuries, and a little searching. If anyone, just anyone just hearing my voice or watching our conversation, Jimmy, gets my book, sees the 40-some pages of resources, other books, podcasts, lectures, seminars, webinars, interviews, can see all this, if you and I can talk about this,
Yeah.
why should we respect a president who either is too lazy or too dumb to find and know these things, or worse, knows these things and is facilitating it because they're excited about being in the know? W is horribly implicated as a member of Skull and Bones. His father was Skull and Bones. His father was Skull and Bones. And there's more than circumstantial evidence that accuses the whole Bush family of being a crime family going back to the 1940s, if not farther.
The voice of Bruce Dutorres, the latest book is, as we're talking about, is God School, 9/11 and JFK, the lies that are killing us and the truth that sets us free. Bruce, we have this rare thing in our Constitution that says we have the freedom of press. The press is free. We're free to speak together. The press is supposedly free to report. Why is it that the media is not at all, the mainstream media is not at all curious about this? Some of us familiar with the phrase Operation Mockingbird, the Mockingbird media. Has the media been turning a blind eye on real reporting the entire birth of this country, or is this something that's happened in the last 20, 30 years? Why does the media not want to do some real reporting, and they just kind of read off the press releases that they're given from the government agencies?
Because at least since World War II, and definitely in the 50s with the CIA's Operation Mockingbird, the media is captured by the forces of the richest of the rich, who also have puppets in all businesses, the most important banking institutions, and the highest political offices are populated by pawns, patsies, and scoundrels who facilitate the agenda of brainwashing us to do what they want us to do. It's 100 times worse than anything we've said so far, even in this conversation. In Ronald Reagan's first month in office, he convened his cabinet heads and he asked them two questions. What have you learned in the first 4 weeks? And what's your goal for your department? And one of the last to answer those questions was William Casey, his director of the CIA. And a staff member in the room named Barbara Honegger heard the director of the CIA tell Ronald Reagan, "What do you want for the department?" He said, "We will know that our disinformation program is complete when everything the American people believe is false." I personally asked Barbara Honegger on a Zoom, was he joking? Was he cracking a joke? And she said, "Oh, no." That's just an example of how effing effed the official stories are. And thank you for mentioning the Constitution. Therein still lies our hope. The founding was a miracle of humanity, and it is still someplace we can dip into to re-inspire ourselves. There really is a dragon to slay, and self-government has never been more literal than right now, because only us as individuals can learn this stuff, have the courage to talk about it, let alone want to engage young people in the importance of these kind of conversations.
The voice of Bruce Dutorres, God School, 9/11 and JFK. Let's dive into kind of the title of the book, because 9/11, JFK, we've kind of alluded to the conspiracy theories or the truth that lies behind those. Where does God and school come in here on that title? The lies that are killing us, the truth that sets us free. You begin with the word God, and then you talk about school. Connect the dots here.
My pleasure. Thank you. God, like school, like 9/11 and JFK, are all real and they all happen. But I describe how the official stories about them are lies. What's the lie about God? The lie about God, this is my opinion, and I make the argument in my book. And freedom of speech lets me have an opinion about these things, right?
Yep.
God is not apart from us. Mankind's literature, imagination, art, and now science for 100 and some years describes reality as one unified field. Now we have to come up with a word: energy, consciousness, love. Jesus said God is love. Jimmy, the only thing that exists has appeared to itself as individual. So the truth about God is that love is what everything is made out of, and love is the creative force, and love is the answer. Oh, gee, it sounds like Beatles songs, right? All you need is love. That's been the power of every popular religion, mystical school of thought, etc. And it's a new identity. Oh, it sounds like being born again with a new identity, or renewing your mind. These are Christian concepts. And that's why it's front and center as the first word, the first syllable of my title, is because know thyself is the most helpful advice supposedly carved on the temple of Apollo at Delphi in the ancient world. Know thyself. Your idea, your declaration of who and what you are determines all the possibilities you can imagine for yourself. So if this is a somewhat magical realm where our thoughts, feelings, and intentions co-create what we experience with the rest of reality, we better get that right, versus fear, which destroys our sense of confidence and lets us believe lies told by exploiters. So we identify as, oh, it's just little old me. I better be part of this mob, and I better be on the winning team. So tons is at stake about getting a right or useful or empowering or loving or kind idea about what God is. And many writers, and myself included, put forth this way of looking at it for one to ponder for oneself.
It's in the book, God Schooled 9/11 JFK. Let's go to the word school again. What's the lie that we've been told about school, sir?
That it educates us to be happy and successful adults. Wrong. I make the case, and refer to many others who have as well, that it's a crime against humanity. You can't raise adults who know what freedom is and who will work for it if you imprison them as children and they spend their formative years not free. School trains us to be obedient, mindless order takers, which is perfect for slaves and soldiers. That's it. It's an abomination. It's an affront to reality and nature. We have to be free and to make decisions, to think for ourselves in order to function as human beings. Here's my analogy. To be a successful, happy bird, a bird has to fly. A fish has to swim. Humans have to make decisions and trust their judgment. So if a child was raised by a loving family and was allowed to participate in the work of adulthood, they would be able to create their own families as soon as they could give birth. And that's what we did naturally for thousands of years, just like animals. As soon as one can become an adult and have children, you do. And especially if you're participating in the work of adults on the farm or in the small towns, these are ideal situations. We have to have an ideal and grope toward it and move the horrors of our current imprisonment of children during their formative years. That's why they break down and cry when they get to college. Why? Because they're faced for the first time of making a decision. They haven't made enough decisions. They didn't have enough freedom. Jimmy, they don't trust their judgment. They don't want to make decisions. They want what they're used to. They want to be told what to do. And that's why for decades and generations now, America is the mess that it is, because the population has been so demoralized and so dumbed down that we don't imagine we can fight City Hall. We don't fight for better candidates for office. We are descending into suicide and drug addiction and alcohol addiction at rates off the chart, like a hockey stick over the last 10 years, but especially in the last 5 since COVID. School is where I lay the blame more than anything else for how we mess up generations of Americans.
Yep. All right, the voice of Bruce DeTorres. You need to pick up a copy. The book is called God School, 9/11 and JFK, The Lies That Are Killing Us and the Truth That Sets Us Free. And we all got to find that truth. Bruce, the book is available, I guess, at Amazon, everywhere fine books are sold. Do you have up on a website, a blog, anything?
Yes, brucedetores.com. The homepage is a laundry list of amazing reviews and opinions about my book. I've been honored to collect over the last few years, and that's where people can click and find my podcast, and also find where I work and find my little bio and things like that.
BruceDeTorres.com, and over your shoulder, you are often on the program in the facility and facilitating this message of American Small Business League, ASBL.com. Also, Don'tCheatWomen.com, an initiative of the American Small Business League. So lots of things that you can check out, and we appreciate you hopping on the show. Bruce, thank you very much. And again, the name of the book, God School, 9/11 and JFK, The Lies That Are Killing Us and the Truth That Sets Us Free. Bruce, appreciate you hopping on. BruceDeTorres.com. BruceDeTorres.com. There you have it. That was fun. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Yep, I liked it. I liked it. Some of you are going to get the book going, you guys are nuts. But, you know, we were told in the height of the COVID, the booger, I called it the booger cootie virus. If you followed me on the radio, I called it, because if I said COVID, I would get shut down off platforms, and I was locked out of my own Twitter account for a while. I mean, just because I was raising questions that everybody thought were conspiracy theories. And suddenly all the questions that some of us asked during the booger cootie virus, that we're not conspiracy. Now they're factual, that we got lied to by a lot of politicians, a lot of doctors out there. And if you remember, there was so much control in the COVID time, so much silliness going on there, that we really, I had to use keywords as if we were living in some freaking third world country, and referring to the dear leader. I had to call Dr. Fauci the little effer. And I still call him the little effer. And if I did that, my material would not get banned online. And I had to call Dr. Scarf, Dr. Burks with a big scarf. I called her Dr. Scarf, because anytime the algorithms of the gods of control in Silicon Valley or wherever they exist would hear me talk about the booger. If you said COVID, Fauci, and Burks in a sentence, your material is not going to, you'll be shadow banned. And I was shadow banned just probably last year, still trying to overcome some of the shadow ban algorithm that I ended up getting during COVID. But I figured out I could penetrate a little bit out there as long as I called it the booger cootie virus, the little effer and Dr. Scarf. And those were the code words we had to use to get any messaging, any counter narrative out there regarding COVID, of what we're being told by our lords and masters out there. And it's a strange time. So there was a lot of cover up that happened there. I still think that people need to be perp walked, but for the main part, we can't be responsible for the slowness or the inactivity of the Department of Justice. And but what we can do is we can educate ourselves and realize the lies that we have been told all the way around. And you know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Is that handle really fart loud? Okay. I despise the city, state government, any other entity that cannot control our lives and money. That's what they like. They like to control your life and money. And remember, they made you happy. What did the government do? The government would what did the government do? The government would dole out money, your free mailbox money. It spurred inflation. We've still been paying for it up until the last several months. It spurred inflation. The government spent too much. And I laughed. I remember right here where I live in Colorado, there was a day, I think it was the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds were going to do a flyover, and they were going to hit they're flying kind of the pattern across Colorado. And I think they did this in several states. And everybody was so excited because you were locked down, not supposed to go anywhere, supposed to social distance. But the Thunderbird, the Blue Angels, whoever it was, were going to go out there and do a flyover. And everybody was intrigued and said, "Isn't that great?" I said, "Oh, great." No, it's not great. This is the government saying, hey, we'll send you entertainment to entertain you, and we will send you money to placate you as long as you continue to be obedient. We'll let you look up at the sky at some airplanes because aren't we nice? And no, you're holding us hostage, and you're destroying lives and businesses and mental health, and yet we're supposed to clap like trained seals. Ooh, the airplanes are coming. And I was very angry about that flyover. I'll never forget it. Now, I did go watch it. My son wanted to go see it, and I went and watched it, but I was trying to explain to him that I said, this is wrong. This is absolutely effing wrong. That the government locks you down, won't let you go to school, kills your academic pursuits in school, and then they want you to be happy because they're mailing us a freaking check in the mail, and they're letting an airplane fly over because somebody thought it was a good idea. I said, that's control, and that's what happened. And I'm telling you, that's how you know if your mind is free. If that airplane flyover, if you experience one of the Thunderbirds, it was entertaining. They came right over there off schedule, but it was cool. But if you did not perhaps at all trigger in your head, say, this is wrong. Why are we spending this effing money flying airplanes around for us to clap and applaud and act as if the government or the Air Force is doing us a favor? The favor you could do is let our kids get back to school. The favor you could do is let us get back to work, let the restaurant serve the meals. And now you realize 2, 3, 4 years later that it was all a lie. The whole dang thing, the lie, the masking, wear the mask in the restaurant. We in Colorado, I'll give you an example. We had, it's like Jared Polis, our buffoon governor, had a seance. Every week he would announce the new rules. And this week, the closing time of your restaurant is 9 o'clock. Your closing time is 10 o'clock. He just arbitrarily set these hours as if he had some connection with the devil himself that would tell him, hey, the virus is going to get really active about 10:30, so you better have that, like Pac-Man walking the streets, waka, 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 waka. But what do people do? Oh, Jared Polis, he's just keeping us safe. Anybody gone back and watched the videos of when Timmy Waltz, Tampon Timmy, sent the Minnesota National Guard down the streets of neighborhoods in Minnesota? Some people filmed it. They shot pellets at him and said, get back in the house. Don't enjoy your front porch because Tampon Tim says no. Anybody remember that? Listen, if you're looking back going, wow, it was a bad time. It was a horrible time. I would encourage you to go get the book by Bruce Notorious, God School 9/11 and JFK, and find the book on the COVID, and you will ask yourself, why is it that we allowed this to happen? Why has nobody been perp walked? I'll forget. We kept hearing this thing called COVID, and I was working with the iHeart Kingdom at the time, radio, and I remember the big boss. He sent us a note to the on-air staff, and he said, hey, I need a photo of you. iHeart is coming up with the pass. You may need it in the future, and I didn't know what he's talking about. And I still have the pass somewhere, maybe around here. It's in my office, I guess. And it was my photo, and it says essential worker, media. And he says that we think that we're hearing that we may have to have a pass to get through roadblocks. I'm like, really? They were in the corporate world, they just played along. Nobody thought the media. And I questioned, I said, this is the dumbest thing ever. But I had a badge that said essential worker sealed by iHeart, and I was a media. But the fact that mainstream media, and I questioned it, but mainstream media didn't say, wait, where's this in the Constitution that you're going to only let essential workers go out? I see somebody just posted, I worked for Bell South AT&T, was considered an essential employee. That made no sense to me. Well, remember in Colorado, the lies we were told about this stuff, and we're going to wrap up the show, the lies we were told that if you were the big box store, the Lowe's or the Home Depot, you were essential and people could go there. But if you were the mom and pop store selling appliances, for some reason you weren't essential and you couldn't really be open. It was tyranny of people like Jared Polis. And this is why I tell you, this is why there's never been a consequence paid for the lies we were told back in the COVID era. And a lot of these governors were either ignorant or complicit, and they should be perp walked for it. I mean, I've said the way we were treated in COVID, the way Jared Polis acted, and they all did to the guys that were taking care of you. I believe they committed crimes against humanity. I know kids that lost scholarships because they missed their final senior year track season or football season, or they missed the whole thing. It literally missed academic scholarships or performance scholarships because of the tyranny of a lot of our politicians. And Jared Polis has that in Colorado. He has that blood on his hands for destroying lives. He declared right after COVID that we have a young person mental health crisis in America in Colorado. And he declared that Children's Hospital at the time said they have a mental health crisis because they drove kids to suicide. They drove kids to drugs, they drove kids to all sorts of things. Alcoholism went up during the time, and it's all these damn politicians, and it's all because they lied to you for whatever reason they did. Get the book, God School, 9/11 and JFK, and if the flyovers of the airplanes didn't piss you off during COVID, you probably need to know that you are subject to manipulation, and you should work on that. Don't do that. Get the book, God School, 9/11 and JFK, the lies that are killing us, and the truth that sets us free. We had a great time yesterday out there at the Casbar Cigar. Thanks to all of you who showed up. It was funny. We had a big screen there on the wall that was supposed to show the YouTube feed, and for some reason we couldn't get that connected. And so it was funny looking around how many people had their phones out. I'm like, well, they must be really bored at the show, not watching it because they were scrolling. Producer Chad said, no, a lot of people were actually watching the show since it wasn't on the screen. They were watching the show on their phone, and then they can see all the more interactive version. We, for some reason, had technical difficulty on that. And then producer Chad said, yeah, so some people were actually in the room commenting in the chat rooms. And so to all of you, whether you were commenting from afar or whether you were commenting in person, we appreciate it. Get ready for another roadshow event coming up very soon. I want to beseech you, therefore, brethren and sistren, if I might, to help us out with a little donation today. Rivers Promises our charity work. And these are kids that would not go to school without our help. These are kids that would not know the joy of education without our help. These are kids that do need our help. And it's what God put on my heart to do. And I know some of you have a lot of other charities, but if you can find it in your heart, go check out our website, riverspromise.org. We're building Legacy Christian Academy, $65 one time. We'll send a kid to school for an entire month. It provides health insurance for them. It provides nutritional needs and some basic life amenities. You can sponsor a kid every month. You can just do a one-time gift. Maybe just set up a recurring. Maybe you don't have a lot to do and you say it's not much. We'll set up a one-time recurring gift every month for $10, $20, $25. If everybody watching this show throughout the day did that, a lot of our funding issues would actually be done. If thousands of earballs hear this show, and if everybody just put a small recurring charge and just said, I'll do that every month, small amount, a cup of coffee price, maybe a couple of cups of coffee, then you would have to then we would have our funding issues met. So if you please consider it. I'm not here to beg. God always provides. He always does. Sometimes it's a stretch, and I know it's going to come through. And if you can help us, we'd appreciate it. Riverspromise.com, riverspromise.org. All right, it's time for the Stolen Memes section of the show on this Wednesday Hump Day edition. This is where we go around the globe and we steal memes. We just steal them. We just steal them, steal them, steal them. You ready for this? Round and around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. Some of you can relate to this. We've reached the age where my brain goes from, you probably shouldn't say that, to, oh, well, what the hell? Let's see what happens. Yeah, usually look at the martini. You got a martini. Yeah, I've reached that age a long time ago. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. Boom, on the screen it goes. Not many people know Cash and Sarah once dated. Said they couldn't see eye to eye. That's Producer Chad. He did that. I didn't do that. Cash, it's not me, brother. It's not me. Love the FBI. Not me. Round around it's Chad. Producer Chad. Round around the globe we go. Where you steal the memes from, no one knows. Do you all remember before that internet thing that people thought the cause of stupidity was the lack of access to information? It wasn't that. It was not that. It's true. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Did you know that damn it, I'm mad spelled backwards is damn it, I'm mad? I didn't know that. There's a word when it spells the same thing frontward and backwards. I forgot what it's called. I learned in grammar. Not a whole sentence, but like one word. Damn it, I'm mad. Say it backwards. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from, no one knows. This is Bob. Bob has no arms. Knock, knock. Who is it? It isn't Bob. Lay him on the floor. His name is Matt. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from, no one knows. There it is. The gong comes in China and the World Economic Forum saying we've stolen enough intellectual property for the day, and it is time to disappear for the day. But we'll be back here in about 23 hours from now. Good Lord, we're in the creeks no rise. And producer Chad lets me push the buttons again to do that. It's don't forget our question of the day. Go through and read on your forums and some of the great question of the day. What are some of your favorite PG rated insults? Wisdom is chasing him, but that man can run. That was on my list as well. Craig says you're like a callus. You show up when all the work's done. Yeah, that's somebody's going to get you sent to HR. I love it. PG rated. I love this one. Scott put up earlier. If my dog had your face, I'd shave its butt and teach it to walk backwards. We used to say that to each other in school. We didn't know it came from MASH. Probably somebody heard it on the. Yeah, that was a fun one. You were in 4th grade. We did that. If I was as ugly as you, if my dog's as ugly as you, I'd shave his butt and make him walk backwards. We did that all the time. Your mom would get you in trouble for saying that to the neighbor kid, though. So you just said it where mom couldn't hear. Just say it later. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for participating in the show. Tomorrow, I think we got a question of the day. The question of the day is going to be, do your kids curse? Do you let your kids curse? We're going to dive into that little fun topic tomorrow. And also keep the news up from the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. We'll continue to follow whether Don Lemon is going to be put on charged with violation of the KKK Act or the FACE Act. We'll continue to watch that. And we got lots of things to get to. Lots of things. We're glad to have some little break there and talk conspiracies and truth with Bruce DeTorres today. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I mean this. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to everybody that supports us. If you'd like to be an advertiser or a sponsor of the show, love to hear from you. Just go to info@jimmylakey.com, info@jimmylakey.com, info@jimmylakey.com. For all of you that showed up at the Lakey Unleashed event, appreciate you. God bless you. God bless America. I am Jimmy Lakey. Peace. I'm out of here.